Hey YouTube, Luquier Cardfight here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Silverthorn Dragon Tamer Luquier deck profile for post-Clash of the Heroes. We got some new support for the Silverthorn Encounter deck in the latest Cardfight Vanguard booster set, including a new monthly promo, which I finally got as well. With it, I found an update was due just for some of the other numbers I've changed for the Luquier deck, along with all of the other new support we got from DBT11 to use in the deck also. I also plan on updating the Minerva and the Maelstrom decks, so look forward to it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the Ride deck. Our starter is Silverthorn Assistant Ionella. When wrote upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our grade 1 is Silverthorn Assistant Irna. When this unit is wrote upon by a unit with only Pale Moon for its clan, look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 card from among them, put into your soul, and shuffle your deck. So it sets up more cards like the Pale Moon Circus was meant to do in your soul for you to use later. And when this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Luquier in its card name, you may soul charge 1. There's a good chance you'll call out a good majority of the cards in your soul, so best to note all the cards in the Ride deck since they're the only copies we run, aside from Luquier, for additional numbers in the main deck. Our grade 2 is Silverthorn Marionette Lilianne. When this unit is wrote upon by a unit with only Pale Moon for its clan, soul charge 1, choose a card from your soul, put it into your hand, and when this unit is placed on rear or put on guard circle, if you have a Vanguard Luquier in its card name, this unit gets plus 5,000 power and shield plus 5 until end of turn. So you have the additional setup for all of the additional guard power that your Lilianne could also use for that guard circle, and then also the rear guard power that could provide for our main go-to grade 3 Vanguard, which is the Silverthorn Dragon Tamer Luquier, along with the copy we are running in the Ride deck. We're also running 3 additional copies in the main deck. On Vanguard, once per turn, you can counterblast 1, put a card from your hand to the soul, choose up to 3 unit cards with different grades from your soul, call them to rear guard. If your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, those units called get plus 5,000 till end of turn. So just from the soul alone, you can call out the grade 0, grade 1, and grade 2 of the Ride deck to begin with, setting you up with the columns needed for a full-on attack against your opponent, gaining the skill of your Lilian on top of that, and at the end of your turn, put 2 rear guards into the soul and draw a card. This can make up for some of the cards going back into the soul to also protect them from your opponent's retire or bind effects, and then also be able to use the skill again, just giving you that additional card from your hand into the soul as another card to call out. For the other grade 3s, I run 2 copies of Circulate Acrobat Ursula Gel. With this card, you have the option for you to put this grade 3 into the soul with other cards like the new Steam Performer 2s that we run in the deck as well. When this unit's placed on rear from soul by the ability of your Vanguard with Luquier in its card name, you can soul blast 1 and counter charge 1. So as long as you have the soul to use for your Luquier Vanguard, you can use your Circulate Acrobat to at least give you more counter charge power, making up for the heavy counter blasting that this deck does. But like I said, you only need the 2 of now because you can easily set it up with our new Steam Performer promo into the soul all the easier. For the grade 2s, I run 4 copies of Silverthorn Rising Dragon. When this unit's placed on rearguard, put a card from your hand to the soul and draw a card. So it helps to get through the deck a little faster while also setting up cards in your soul. And on rearguard during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Luquier in its card name and 2 or more of your units were placed from rearguard from soul this turn, this unit gets plus 10,000. If 4 more were placed, it gets plus 10,000. So you can have a 30,000 power unit on its own just for playing the actual style that your Silverthorn Pale Moon deck was meant to do, and then also have the initial setup of when it's placed. You have the constant stacking power just by having this card on rearguard as well to begin with. For the new grade 2, we're also running 3 copies of Steam Performer 2s. When this card is put into the soul by your card's ability, if you have a Vanguard with only Pale Moon for its clan, bind this card, search your deck, or drop for up to 1 grade 3, put it into your soul, and if you search your deck, shuffle it. So this is the setup where you can put it into the soul with cards like Luquier to then be able to then bind this card and get the more proper, better units for you to utilize in your soul, like the Circulate Acrobat that we mentioned before. Just the grade 3 from your deck or drop zone. So even if you place this card into the drop zone or heal it from the damage zone, you can at least recover it with this Steam Performer. For the grade 1s, running 3 copies of the new Jovial Juggler. From the soul, while choosing cards from your soul for your Vanguard's ability, this card may be chosen as a grade 0. So being able to count this card as the grade 0 while still being able to call out another grade 1 adds for more benefits for the boosted power that this card can provide. And when this unit is placed on rear from the soul by the act ability of your Vanguard with only Pale Moon for its clan, put one other rear guard into the soul to choose a unit card from your soul and call it to rear, and at the end of the turn, put that unit called into the soul. So it's almost like a purple trapezist-like ability for D format, setting up other cards in the soul and then being able to choose another one to call out. So then you can have the weaker units called out off of your Luquier's ability, placing one back into the soul to call something else from the soul, depending on if you soul charged it with another card, to then set up some better call-ups for you to utilize also. And then also the 3 copies of Falcate Performer. When this unit boosts, choose up to 1 card from your drop, and if your soul does not have a card with the same grade as that card, put it into your soul. So you have more power for your plays, including if you were to put your Steam Performer Touche, when this card's put into the soul by your card's ability, having that option to then bind it to get the grade 3 that way as well with your Falcate Performer. And then also the 2 copies of Silverthorn Breathing Dragon. When this unit is placed on back row rear guard from Soul, if you have a Vanguard with Luquier in its card name, Soul last 1, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets on Vanguard Circle all your front row rear guards get plus 5,000 till end of turn. So if you call out your Breathing Dragon, it can just help by having your Luquier gain the additional ability by getting your other front row rear guards to get plus 5,000 on top of the Persona Ride. Those numbers can stack up to some pretty big numbers that you can use against your opponent for the added pressure. With the last of the grade 1s for the deck being 2 copies of Famed Harsh Demonic Lordling Bathium. In rearguard, if you played normal order this turn, it gets plus 5,000, so it's an added power-up when we use cards like our Hurry and Join, the Silverthorn Servants. And when this unit's placed on rearguard, you can counterblast 1, search your deck, or drop for up to 1 reception of the Famed Demonic Mansion. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. So another way to use some early game orders, especially on your grade 2 ride, in the form of reception of the Famed Demonic Mansion. Choosing a unit and it gets plus 5,000, just being able to also soul charge 1 helps with the Pale Moon deck to begin with. And then also the 4 copies of the Repelled Malice Dragon. I like running this over the Elementaria Sanctitude in the deck just so we have more units to potentially call out with the soul charge, since we can't really call out a blitz order if we soul charge it. So then we have to rely on being able to either soul blast that with another one of our cards. And then also for the orders, the 3 copies of Hurry and Join, the Silverthorn Servants. This card can be played from the soul, and play this card with a counterblast 1. If you have a Vanguard with Luquier in its card name, choose one of your rear guards. It gets on rear when your Vanguard attacks. Put this unit into the soul. Choose a card with only Pale Moon for its clan and grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from your soul, and call it to rear guard. So you have plenty of other Pale Moon cards to be able to call out with this card, giving you the multiple attacks that this card can utilize in the deck fully. And the fact that you can play it from the soul is just an added bonus. With the last order being the 1-of copy, the Reception of Famed Demonic Mansion. Just running the 1 because you can search it from the drop zone as well with your Famed Harsh Demonic Lordling. So the only risk is if it's in the damage zone. But other than that, you can just counterblast it, then heal it potentially off of a heal trigger, and grab it back from your drop zone thanks to your grade 1 from there. For the trigger lineup, we are running the 7 criticals. So going with the Pale Moon theme, 4 copies of Swanky Enthraller and the 3 copies of Lively Breath Dragon, since they all fit the theme of the Pale Moon Circus, and also the 4 copies of Ruse Wildmaster Riley, having the additional 5k shield for our guard with it also. And then lastly, the 4 Gambling Juggler for the heal trigger. You don't really need any of the ability ones. The 15k shield is good enough at times, and once again, just fitting with the theme of the deck, with our over trigger being the Hades Dragon Deity, just adding the additional 10k pressure each turn, an additional critical. If you reveal this early on in game, makes it one of the more beneficial over triggers to reveal as early on in the game as you can. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Once again, very happy with the new support for the Pale Moon Circus. It definitely does help with the overall playstyle of utilizing the soul as a second hand for you to call cards out onto for the field. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.